Do you know why getting copies of your IRS transcripts is so important? I'm Andrew Bosserman, tax attorney and founder of Boss Tax Law, and in this video I'm going to quickly describe what IRS transcripts are and why they're so important to dealing with any issues with the IRS. So first of all, there are a number of different types of IRS transcripts, but essentially the transcripts are a record from the IRS's computer of the information they have about your tax situation. So there are a number of different types. One of the most common types is an account transcript. And an account transcript, it looks kind of similar to a bank account, but it's a record of all transactions on your IRS account, such as filing a tax return, making tax payments, the IRS assessing any additional tax, assessing any penalties, really anything that affects your tax account or tax return. And then it shows dollar values. So anytime I have a client that has an issue with the IRS, I pull transcripts just to see what is going on, because a lot of times the transcript will shed some light on the situation. Was the tax return filed late? Did they not pay a balance owe? Was a penalty assessed? You can find all of that out with a tax account transcript, and it oftentimes provides a lot more detail than, say, a single IRS notice would. It lets you see the complete picture of your tax situation. There are also tax return transcripts, and a tax return transcript is a transcript of the tax return as filed. So for example, if you can't find a copy of your tax return or want to know if the IRS input something wrong, you should get a tax return transcript, because it's essentially a computer printout. It doesn't look like a tax return, but it'll have lines with corresponding numbers that correspond to the tax return that show the return as they input it into their system. So that can also be helpful, like I said, if you lost a copy of your tax return or think the IRS might have input something incorrectly, get a tax return transcript. And then there are also wage and income transcripts, and wage and income transcripts are copies of the third-party reports, such as W-2s or 1099s, that the IRS received on your behalf from third parties. So, if you think you should have gotten a 1099 but lost it, first you can reach out to who should have provided it to you. But if you just want to double check all the income documents on your account, you can get a wage and income transcript. For my purposes, when I'm dealing with IRS issues, I most often use account transcripts. And there are many different types depending on the type of taxpayer you are, whether you're a business, what kind of business, an individual. So account transcripts extremely important, and the other types of transcripts can also be helpful in other situations. So say you have an IRS problem, or maybe you don't have a problem, but you want to get your tax transcripts. How do you do so? The quickest way to do so is either do it online through the IRS if you have access yourself already through the IRS's online system, either if you're an individual or a business. You can set up your account at irs.gov. But if you don't have that set up or don't want to, the other easiest way is to have your representative, normally it's a CPA or an EA or a tax attorney like myself, pull it for you. And why is that? That's because if you aren't able to get it online yourself, I can get it online for you, and that's almost instantaneously. Or if I call the IRS, I just have to wait on the phone for a little bit. But if you don't have that available to you and you call the IRS and try to get your own transcript, then they're going to mail it to you, and that takes at least 1 or 2 weeks for it to get to you. So the quickest way is always to do it online somehow, whether that is yourself if you have access set up, or your tax attorney or CPA or anyone else you've given authority to view your tax records. One neat solution that I offer to clients is also tax transcript monitoring. And there's a software program I have that will regularly pull tax transcripts and compare them against prior ones, and it will let me know when I'm reviewing the transcripts of any changes. So that way, if you're about to get a notice in the mail, I can give you a heads up. Or oftentimes there'll be an entry posted on your account when you're about to get an IRS audit, and I might be able to find out before you even receive a letter in the mail, or just to know if any strange things are happening with your account. For example, I had a client who essentially their CPA was committing fraud and embezzling from them. And if they had reviewed their tax transcripts regularly or had someone else monitoring them, they would have realized that there was a lot of money not being paid towards their taxes that they thought were being paid. So it's great just as a kind of a double check or checks and balances to do some type of tax transcript monitoring, whether it's on your own, pulling your transcripts regularly, or having someone like me pull them for you. But if you have any questions about tax transcripts, what they are, how to get them, how to read them, feel free to reach out. And, I can't stress enough how important it is to take advantage of transcripts, since it's the information the IRS has about you, and it's the first one of the first steps I take whenever representing a new client.